Hello, my name is Darren Thomas. I'm the Director of Educational Research Techniques. In this video, we're going to learn how to make a factor and how to deal with the different options that are available for using factors inside RStudio. So as you can see here, I'm already inside RStudio, and in order to make a factor, I first need some sort of data. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a vector that is going to have several different characters inside it, and this should sound familiar from other videos in this series. So I'm going to make a vector or an object that is called race. And inside this vector, I'm going to use the C function or the concatenate function like so, and I'm going to put some different words inside it. Now because I'm using text, I must put my words inside quotation marks, either single or double. I'm going to use single. So black. So this is obviously going to be a vector that uses different races. Asian, white, Asian, and white again. So this is my vector. This is my object called race. And so I can see what's going on with this by using the str function and pressing Control Enter again. And it tells me that it's a character vector basically with 5 values inside it, and it gives you the list of the values here: black, Asian, white. That's what it is. Now, factors are used for making what we call categorical variables in statistics. And a categorical variable is basically something that is based on some sort of a qualitative feature. For example, male, female, or whatever it is you want it to be. In other words, there's no fuzziness, there's no blend between them. This is in contrast to continuous variables where you can have an infinite number of values. Categorical variables or factors have distinct, we call them discrete values, and there's no in between in them. So that is what a factor is, and this is very commonly used in statistical analysis, regression, chi-square, etc. To make my race vector a factor, this is what I need to do. I need to I'm going to give it a new name called example 1, and this is what I'm going to put inside example 1. I'm going to use the factor function, the factor function here, and I'm going to put my race object inside it. And so what this is going to do is it's going to take my information here from my race vector that I created, and it's going to make it a factor, and we're going to give it a new name called example 1. So that's what that is. And if you type in example 1, press Control Enter, you can see right there. Here are the values inside the variable: black, Asian, white. That should look familiar. Black, Asian, white up top. But take a look at the levels. The levels are Asian, black, and white. So there are 3 levels. In other words, there are 3 distinct possible values inside this factor. They could be either Asian, black, or white. There are no other possible values that can take place inside this particular factor variable. Now, of course, you can always add more levels to your factor if you so desire. So if I wanted to do that, I could put example 2. And a lot of this is a repeat of what we already did. So it's going to be a factor of race. You've already seen this before. But now I'm going to give names to the levels. Now I'm going to tell R what are the potential discrete values that can be inside this particular factor. And so I give it levels, equal sign, use the concatenate function, and here are the potential values. Black, this is familiar, Asian, white, and we're going to put a new one in here, Hispanic. That's what's new. So we have now 4 levels: black, Asian, white, and Hispanic. And if I want to see what this looks like, I just do this. Now, even though I only have inside my vector black, Asian, and white, in my levels is black, Asian, white, but Hispanic is the potential value that can be inside this particular factor variable. That is one of the benefits of factor variables, is that you can put in what could be potential values in the future that you might want to add to it. One other thing that I want to show you in my example number 3 here is how you can rename the levels by using what we call the labels argument. So in the previous example, we played with the levels argument where we we added a level that was not in the data that we could use in the future if we so desired. This time, I'm going to use the labels argument, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename the levels by using the labels argument. That's how we're going to do that. So example 3, very simple. It's all the same code for the most part, except when we get to the levels argument. So I'm going to copy and paste this to save time and move things quickly here. Now after the levels, I need to put a comma, and then I'll press enter so you can see what I'm doing, and I'll put labels here, put an equal sign, concatenate function, and we're going to call it black, BCLK, BLCK, Asian, we'll call it ASN, and white, we'll call it WHT, and Hispanic or HSPN. So basically I just kind of took out most of the vowels, if you will, in some of the consonants. So I press enter, control enter, and now if I want to examine what this looks like, you can see right there. So notice how the values inside the actual vector changed, as well as the names of the levels. And that is the power of the labels argument, if you ever so desire to do this. And there are other things that we can do. For example, if you wanted to convert this to a numeric, we'll use the as.numeric example. So we'll do example 3 here. And so that's what this is. So this is where it takes the different levels and converts them to numbers. So 1 represents black here. 2 represents Asian. 2 represents Asian, and white represents 3. So black is 1, Asian is 2, white is 3. Now the next value is Asian again. So it's going to go back to 2 because 2 always represents Asian here. Because they're just going in the order that you put the levels inside the actual vector. So if you look here, I put black first. That's why it's number 1. I put Asian second. I put white third. That's why it is 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, because that's the order that I put them in when I created the actual factor. And a few other things you can look at is you can use the levels argument to figure out what the levels are, the potential levels, and you can see right here, this is the names of the levels. Sorry, let me do that for example 3 actually. And so these are the levels that are possible. You can also count the number of levels using the nLevels function. It's just endless what you can do here. And so it tells you that there's 3 levels. Very, very clear. So those are some of the powers of it. So for the as.numeric, it takes your factors and turns them into numbers by the order that they're put in. For the levels, it tells you what the different levels are. And for the nLevels function, it tells you the number of levels inside that particular factor variable. So there you have it. This is a very basic introduction into the use of factor variables. In this video, we showed you how to create a factor variable, how to give names to the different levels, as well as how to rename the levels by using the labels argument inside the factor. I also showed you how you can take your factor variable and actually convert it to numbers using the as.numeric function. And remember, the number value that the level takes depends on the order that you put them into the factor. And I also showed you how you can determine the names of the different levels using the levels function, as well as the number of levels inside your factor. So again, this is all very, very basic, rudimentary stuff that we're doing here in R, and I hope that this was useful for you, and take care.